Okay. Ready for roll call?
Okay.
Chairman Updegrove?
Here.
Mr. McKimmey?
Here.
Mr. DiPaolo?
Here.
Ms. Genovese?
Here.
Ms. Johnson?
Here.
Ms. Smith? Okay, that's it.
Okay, approval of the March 27th meeting minutes.
I'll make a motion.
Mr. Follows, second by Mr. McKimmey, all in favor? Opposed? Okay, financial report.
Okay, so the first one that you have there is the ARPA money. I am $110.08 away from spending it completely. That will be done by the next meeting. And then you have the trial balance for the ARPA money. You'll finally be down to one bank account. The next one is the unrestricted funds. It's all your activity since the last meeting. And the trial balance for that account. Right now in the account, there's $309,312.27. It's building a little bit with the properties that we've been selling. And then moving on to the next thing is the HCR Phase 1 grant, Round 4. That's our operations grant. Up till when I did this report, our expenses April through June are $12,776.44, and our grant fund balance is $93,509.64. Then the next one is the Phase 2. This is the original Phase 2 grant, and the balance on that is $701,445.12. There hasn't really been any activity since the last meeting for that one. And then you have the Phase 2, the Round 2 money. That's all capital for capital improvements. We still have the $1,405,263. But the next sheet explains to you what the grant fund balances are and how the money is allocated right now, so to kind of give you a better idea of what's available. So we have committed projects for the first grant, the original grant. $648,962.06 is what's unallocated at this time. And for the 2025 grant, the new grant, the capital funding, we have $447,185 that's unallocated right now. Any questions on that?
Does anyone else have any questions?
Spend easy.
Okay. All right, 1701 Main Street.
Andrea?
1701 Main Street is, the city has requested, in order to consider the acquisition of 1701 Main Street. It's right next door to the Rapids Theater. We've received, when I say we, I mean the Main Street Committee has received proposals for the Rapids Theater, and the property next door is a piece of both of those proposals. And I think, following the acquisition from, if the board should vote to approve that, the city's URA would apply for certain grant funding and then purchase it from the land bank. It's just that the land bank can move a little bit quicker, and we could hopefully acquire 1701 prior to any press coverage about Rapids, because that was the city's concern, that it would increase in price following the release of that information.
Have you talked to the mayor about it?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're.
Yeah, this is a big piece of the puzzle for us.
Okay, same with you.
Yeah, I talked to Andrea and.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. We don't have a purchase price. So the asking is 200,000. So we certainly wouldn't initially offer that, but the request is to authorize up to the existing listing price.
Okay, And then how long did the city say how long it's gonna take for the URA?
Purchase it back from us? No.
Next Friday, we'll be naming the developer of Rapids,
Oh, okay.
and both
Then
of,
we may be able to roll it into that contract.
yes,
And that would be probably part of the contract for the transfer of Rapids.
Right. Because there's not even a fence between those properties, so if one person were to buy the other and do something that doesn't necessarily complement the project at Rapids, would give the city
I
some,
understand.
the city and Main Committee some control over.
How was it not an issue before when Rapids was being operated?
Same owner,
Oh, he owned both.
and that each currently.
Oh, that makes
owns-
sense.
it was never listed as collateral with the Rapids.
Oh,
They're separate LLC.
all right, well, that makes sense. Okay.
So is that the same owner who always owned it?
John Hutchins.
All right.
So it would be purchased maybe from Hutchins?
Sometimes it feels funny to reward these people, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But we need it for the whole project, like the city needs it for the entire project.
We've gone back to the bank and gone through their mortgage agreement to make sure it wasn't listed as collateral. And the mayor has talked to the attorneys and federal investigators to make sure that it wasn't something that they could have seized. So we tried to exhaust every route of not giving him money.
Sometimes you have to.
Yeah,
Well, $200,000 doesn't buy what you used to.
No.
So, all right, so, you wanna make the motion?
Yep. motion.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Telegraph and Rochester Road. That's,
So you want me to take that one, Andrew?
Yeah.
I mean, Amy can speak
that's,
to this project a little bit more than I can, but in essence, like, I think all three resolutions are somewhat the same in that we've already transferred previously these tax liens, but, for the purposes of a private foreclosure, but we transferred them up to, and I don't remember the various dates on each one, but what we're doing is essentially, transferring the remainder of the tax lien, because additional liens were placed on the properties as these entities were going through the foreclosure process.
This first one's a little bit different because the tax liens on this one previously. So this is one where there's a consent order for FMC to remediate the properties. And we did a similar situation a few years ago with the Norco properties in the town or in the village. And FMC has proceeded to, they did the private foreclosure, they remediated the properties, and they're back on the tax rolls. So this would be the same
so who owns this
situation.
property right now?
It is tax delinquent. It's owned by,
Okay, well,
It's
it's not
tax
relevant, that's not. So it's
Yeah.
tax delinquent,
tax delinquent
but FMC they have a consent order to remediate this property
from DEC.
from okay. Even though they didn't own it, they obviously, they're involved relative to the contamination of it. DEC's ordered to clean it.
Yeah.
It's tax delinquent, so we'll take the tax lien, they'll clean it, and then we'll transfer the tax liens to FMC, and then they'll foreclose on the property,
Yes.
and then it will be their property.
Yes. Yep, and they'll put it back on the tax rolls.
Is this adjacent to them, one of their other properties?
Yeah, so it's part of the much larger issue in Middleport with FMC, so it's legacy contamination. And so they had operated like research facilities at one time.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's not where their main facility
No,
is. This is
it's
down
adjacent to
west.
it though.
Oh,
It's actually adjacent to it.
I didn't
It's
realize
the
it.
same facility, yeah.
Okay.
The Norco properties were on the other side, but this is actually adjacent. So they're using it right now as like a staging area, but there's buildings on the property, so they'll demolish the buildings, remediate the soil, and then it'll be a clean piece of property ready for development.
Okay.
So this resolution is both to accept the tax liens, and also transfer them to FMC.
I'll move that. Second by Mr. Paulo. All in favor?
Question.
Okay.
How large is the parcel?
I think it's about 3.5 acres.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. The junkyard parcels.
So this goes back to what Andrew was saying. So the Norlick had already taken some of the tax liens, but then, that was a few years ago. And so there's been additional tax liens that have occurred since then. So this is taking the current tax liens, and there is a developer who is interested in purchasing all of these properties. They did submit an initial interest. What they're looking at doing is they want to acquire all of the properties and they will do the private foreclosure on them. But then they're looking at doing like a pick and pull facility at the property. So they'll clean up all of the junk that's there and make it a nicer junkyard, if you will. And then they're going to use one of the existing buildings and do some like repair work in that building. So, and they'll have like shelves and stuff, kind of like a warehousing thing. So you could go in and you can, if you need like a catalytic converter or something like that for a specific vehicle, it'll be on a shelf and they can pull it. Or for a cheaper price, you can actually go out into the field essentially and pick pieces off of cars. So it'll clean up the properties and it'll get them back in a status as well.
So are any of these properties owners who paid their taxes last time we did this, or are they all the same?
These are all the same ones that have back taxes back one to like 2002.
And every 3 years, the county treasurer puts a tax warrant out for delinquent properties, and this is just a rehash of the same owners.
Yeah, these are all the same owners. And initially we had, I think it was 16 properties, and we're down to, was it 10, I think. So some of them did pay their taxes, and they are still paying. I have been keeping tabs on that. But these are ones that have not.
So the project that was going to be for storage, I don't recall what happened to that.
He backed out
So
of it. I mean,
where-
Katie might know more, but
What's the status of the property that he was going to use?
it's all of these. He submitted a letter saying that he was no longer able to.
Oh, it's
sell it.
these.
It's these. It's
Oh,
the same
okay.
properties.
That-
Yeah.
oh, that
He-
makes-
he
That
came-
makes sense, that's why I was
Yeah,
confused.
no,
Okay.
he came back and said that it was more detailed and it would be more expensive than what he could afford.
And then when some of the people paid their taxes, they kind of chopped up the properties. 'Cause at one
Right.
point, it was all one
Yeah,
contiguous parcel.
yeah. And so Andrew and I were really excited because, excited is the right word, but we were, going to move forward with doing like an industrial park here, but now it's like scattered. But this company that's interested in it, they can work with that. So.
Okay.
So we're stuck with it as junkyards forever.
Yeah, and honestly, it's
It
probably
costs
the
us
highest
high.
and best use. Like we did some investigation into like the power and stuff there to see, and it's just the power's not there for any kind of real good industry or anything. So, but this company, like they have experience they'll clean it up at least, so it won't be a mess, and hopefully they pay their taxes. So that's the best we can hope for at this point. But I think probably next one, there'll be, maybe we can have them come in and talk about what they want to do.
Yeah.
And then the board can decide if they want to move forward with that.
That's fine.
I've talked to town supervisor about this too, and she's supportive of it.
It's better than what's there now.
Motion by Mr. King.
Sure.
Second by Mr. Powell, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And then,
This next one is for the Canthal Goldbar property, and that one was already sold to a developer. And he completed the private foreclosure process, and he became the owner in January of this year. But what has happened because of
the
private
intern for
foreclosure?
more taxes.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So that's just to forgive these taxes and transfer those taxes to that developer, and then I don't know if Katie can weigh in on this, but then I think he forgives himself. I'm not exactly sure how that works legally, but he will owe taxes to himself.
Just break it off.
Yeah, right. That's I think how that works. But
Yeah, he doesn't have to, he doesn't have to foreclose on those, but it'll be his choice, but that way, from the county's perspective, it'll clear out the taxes in the books.
Okay. All right, I'll move that. Second by Mr. Powell, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And then construction management RFP, we've all had the opportunity to take a look at the submissions to our RFP, and I know that there's been some follow-up conversations that Andrea has had with a couple of these entities. So I would start with her to give us your synopsis.
Yeah, thank you. I went through the RFPs. The higher cost ones did have the MWBE, which was something that was a requirement of ours that was important. That was called Associates and Rodriguez, but they were more expensive. So in looking through RPO Kill, you know, they addressed their MWBE ability and their ability to meet those goals. And Frontier did as well. And Frontier have some agreements with women-owned businesses. So at the end of the day, I felt comfortable that all four of these companies could meet that goal of ours. RP, Oak Hill, and Frontier were close in cost. The one thing that stood out, that Frontier is a local company, and I think they're a little bit smaller, so I tend to, my sense is that we may be likely to receive a little bit more attention from them as opposed to some of the larger companies. I think that's what, you know, what has happened with Rodriguez. They have a lot of clients, and since we don't have a lot of consistent work, my sense is that oftentimes that we fall sort of to maybe like the bottom of the list of priorities
Okay, so
for some of the larger companies.
I'll move Frontier Management. Ms. Genovese, you want a second?
A second.
All right, we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Is there any other attorney business that we need to discuss, Katie?
No, none for me. We're continuing to close on a number of properties. We just closed on Whitney last week. We're waiting for documents from Avenue in the mail. We were supposed to get those already this week. So we just keep moving forward on those properties. I know there's been a few hiccups in Morgan. I want to thank you for being great and getting the city to help us fix some of those issues. So we're just keep moving forward with those. That's all I have.
Okay. And the home improvement program launch?
We're finally ready, we think, to be able to launch. I don't know if anybody's had an opportunity to review the
Yeah, I looked at-
guidelines
I
and
looked at your guidelines and
the application.
the application. Yeah, they were, I thought they were very comprehensive.
Okay.
Very good. So,
So I think we'll be talking to Kevin Schuler. Joe Morocco's been a big part of helping me create all the forms and everything. So basically, once it gets launched, they'll have to have their applications in by May 29th. On Monday, the 20th, I'll be hosting a webinar and then create an FAQ document that I can put up on the website. People can, if they have any phone calls, they can, or if they have any questions, they can give me a call or they can email our Gmail account. I'm going to be going on vacation, but I will be able to access all of that to be able to answer any questions. We're going to be putting drop boxes out in the lobby, one for North Tonawanda, one for Lockport. The applications are going to get date stamped in and reviewed, first come, first serve. It's a very limited amount of money. We're calling it a pilot program for that reason. That is what the grant administrators suggested because it is such a limited amount of money. So we're hoping to get a good response and see what kind of projects requests we get. So, but the application process is open until May 29th because they have to get us their income tax returns, their homeowners, their paid taxes. There's a lot of documents together.
so when is the official launch date?
Well, we're going to be launching it, advertising it next week.
Okay.
Yeah, either Wednesday or Thursday.
So they'll have 4 weeks. to
They'll
get
have a
it.
month, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, to get their applications in.
And this is all gonna be on the website.
Everything will be on the website. There'll be fillable forms. There'll be hot links to information and actually, so later on, when somebody gets approved, they're going to need to see, we're going to have to send out a person to create a work plan, and there will be hot links to create those appointments as well. So we're moving forward on it.
Okay.
It's a very, very short period of time. They have to have
No,
their projects done and reimbursed by October 31st.
I appreciate your help because when I was looking through it, I had an appreciation for just how much work it really was because you don't really think about it until you see it. And I realized it's a lot, so thank you.
Well, the facade program kind of groomed me through that. So
And have you hired somebody to do the?
We'll probably be working with our construction management firm to see if they can help us, and if not, then we'll have to find somebody. But yeah, we'd like to try to just keep one,
We'd
you know,
rather use
one contract, one
But if for
everything.
some reason they couldn't, I know we've got some, I've had a couple contractors reach out to me that are local within like each city. So we have options if for some reason Frontier can't do it, but I don't see why they wouldn't.
Yeah, well, I figured we have a month to get these kinks worked out, so of everything that we might need, to just get those applications, you know, get it out there and let people start getting their applications completed and filled. The only other thing as far as like project management is that we have two finally gonna be moving forward on 17 Works and 101 Frederica demolitions.
17 Works, that's in Lockwood, right?
Yeah, that's that house they wanna take down.
And where's Frederica's, North Tonawanda?
Or Tonawanda?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we've been waiting for the environmentals to be done, which are done now, and
They're supposed to
yesterday,
be done by the end of the month.
well, I think Nate submitted for approval because they're excluded. There's things that are excluded.
Yeah, but we're doing the asbestos surveys. You can't do the demo unless you do the asbestos surveys first, because we don't know what the asbestos is in there.
But I think he was still able to submit everything to HCR without it, right?
HCR, yes, but we
Yes.
can't actually go out for contract until the asbestos surveys are done, which I talked to the contractor Wednesday night, and he said that they would be done by the end of the month.
Perfect.
Have we already selected the contractor for the?
We haven't, because we have to wait for HCR to approve it.
Right.
We have
And
to
then
wait for
it'll
this,
have
so
to
then
go
we'll
out
put
to
out
RFP.
RFP. So probably at our next meeting, we'll have probably results of an RFP for the board to pick somebody.
That's good news.
And then
Amy, if the property is condemned, does that change the environmental, track, like it still takes the same amount of time, or does that make anything move a little quicker?
It doesn't really make a difference. It's just because the asbestos, so like the differentiation is whether the asbestos can be abated first and then the property demolished, or if the entire thing has to be demoed with asbestos in place. And it changes the cost. So that's why we gotta wait to see, what the asbestos comes back as. But it does make it easier if it has to be asbestos in place demo if it's condemned, because it has to go through the Department of Labor and you have to get a variance.
It depends if it's unsafe for.
Right, if it's unsafe, right, exactly. But I don't think any of these
Yeah.
I don't know, the one in North Tonawanda is just disgusting, it's not unsafe.
Yeah, it's not, and the one in Lockport, it's not unsafe either, so.
I have a couple unsafe ones if you ever want to feature.
And then also here's the
This
final
morning, I just did
final
the engineering
audit for
audit
everybody. They
tools.
have a copy.
Now, for the grant, are these the only jobs you're doing, or, so that's the scope?
Yep, that's the scope. And then we're not gonna be doing chimney repair unless it's part of a full roof. That's the purpose of the repair. Probably you have to have your chimney done. That's probably leaking, that's why your roof is bad. But so the chimney repair can only be part of the roof and also the gutter. It has to be part of a full roof project. We're not doing just gutters.
Can that be explained? Because if I look at
It
this,
is,
it is somewhere, okay.
yeah, it is,
So I'd be like, oh, I'll just replace my gutters.
yeah, I do have to say, I'm gonna be working a little bit more on these guidelines in the next couple days. There's a couple things that have come up in the past couple days, and that is one of them. It's in my slide presentation, like I already have my slide presentation done for the webinar, so I fully explained it there.
I could see someone not looking at the webinar and just getting this, like, oh, just filling it out and submitting it.
Yeah, I'm gonna put a little, I have to highlight something, I guess, in the guidelines. No matter what we do, and that's something we learned from the facade program, no matter what we do, there's gonna be a lot of questions. They find unbelievable questions to ask, so.
They cannot bid to do
Correct.
these, okay. I'd make sure they understand that. I know those guys. And then the second thing, does Niagara Falls Code Enforcement know that this program is coming live?
It's not part of Niagara Falls, it's only in North Tonawanda and Lockport.
Thank you. I'm just not there.
Which means they probably would be bidding anyway.
we're trying to spread the money across the county a little bit, so.
Sounds good.
Okay. Do you have anything else?
I do not.
Anyone have anything else? Okay, motion to adjourn, Ms. McKinney. Second by Mr. Fowler. All in favor? Opposed? Okay, thank you.
We should have this. I feel like I'm looking at the-
Yeah,